Being the first or being the only can be as much of a challenge as it is an achievement. Trailblazing Marie Robinson, Sysco's Executive Vice President and Chief Supply Chain Officer, has been in situations that have earned her both those challenging accolades, sometimes at the same time, as the first and/or only woman in the room. Like a true rock star, Marie steps up in big moments and performs at a high level. We've seen that when she talked through the lessons she learned throughout her career, but we wanted to know how she does it every day and what advice she can give to anyone who has to be the first, the only, or even just the best professional they can be.
You know, I think that I was fortunate without any intention, right? It's just the way my life unfolded. But that military experience at a very early age and learning that I brought skills that the guys alongside me might not have had, and then they could certainly do things I couldn't do. And really finding that balance. I had this weird ability to memorize our playbooks. So when you're leading field drills in the military, it's a lot like a football game. There are plays that get called when you're out on patrol. I could memorize them and they knew that. So they would leverage me. I couldn't necessarily lift the 100-pound, whatever it was that needed to be thrown over a wall. Right. So it was this finding that, and I've tried to carry that with me through my career. But look, let me tell you, I was the first female general manager at Walmart. I was the first female vice president in logistics at Walmart. Being the first and the only was lonely. It really was. And you had, I think the advice that I give is to really know who you are. You know who you are, learn how important your voice is, but it's also important to know when to be quiet.
Okay, that's interesting, because I feel like women get put in a place where they're quiet or feel like they have to be quiet. When do you know? When do you know?
I've learned that there's a danger in talking too much too, right? Men or women. I think this is universal guidance. And almost seeing your voice as a currency, and when do you want to spend it and when do you want to save it? I was so fortunate when I was at Walmart to get to observe the best leadership on the planet.
Marie has clearly learned a lot from her leadership role models, but she brought to it her own perspective, intelligence, and ability to make really complicated things like global transportation logistics simple for people to understand. But that level of leadership isn't easy.
So you're involved in a lot of things at a very high level, and at that leadership level, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but everyone thinks they want to be in a leadership position. And then when you're there, it's kind of lonely in a lot of ways. Like, people are looking at you to make decisions, and then you have to come in and make decisions and feel, appear like you're fine with it when maybe you're not fine with it, or you don't know, and I don't know what's going to happen, but this is the direction we got to go. Does that resonate with you? Do you find that? And how do you push through that, or have the confidence to make that other scary decision?
Yeah, it does get it gets lonelier as you progress. Okay. And I've often said this is my dream job. I never really wanted to be a CEO of a publicly traded company. I have such admiration for my boss and what he lives through, and the impacts and the levels of decision that he has to make. For me, yes, there are always times when you have to do things that you wouldn't necessarily want to do, but it's being really clear about what are those fundamental things that you protect. Right. What are those parts of the organization that I'm willing to actually fight for? And I work with a wonderful team. One benefit of, we call ourselves a matrixed organization here at Sysco. One benefit of that is that I don't necessarily make those really hard decisions alone. It's in partnership with Greg Bertrand, who's my peer, who actually is the president of U.S. Food Service, or Paolo, who's our international president. And oftentimes, yes, they'll defer to me within my area of ownership, but there's always somebody there.
Marie's mantra of support and service follows her into her personal life. She is heavily involved with the Red Cross, where she brings the same level of enthusiasm and passion to her volunteer work.
So actually, I work with the Gulf Coast chapter, of which Houston is one of their districts. And I serve on their executive board, and I lead their philanthropy efforts, and get to do a lot of hands-on stuff too. So I like the support of the armed forces.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my favorite events we do every year is we hold a big baby shower for expecting families for our local military installations here, and we bring them in and we do things like teach them infant CPR. Yep. Right. We teach them what to do if the baby's choking, and then we give them a whole bunch of cool gifts.
Okay.
So that's the fun stuff. And then just making sure that people realize that, for example, with blood donations, the Red Cross supplies 41% of all the blood product in the U.S., and only 2% of Americans today are able and willing to donate blood. It's such a wonderful organization. One of the other little-known facts is actually the most common activity that the Red Cross has is responding to fires every day. So there are over 600 fires a day across the U.S. And when the fire department gets dispatched, they call the Red Cross, because the Red Cross comes on site and they do things like housing vouchers and making sure that medications are taken care of and that a family has somewhere to go that night.